Today I want to talk to you about a way to decide if Scrum is compatible with your organizational context. I'll probably talk about four different kinds of compatibility. The first compatibility is outcome compatibility. So, as you're thinking about Scrum and whether it is right for your context or not, put on the hat of the business outcomes. So, what are the business outcomes that you're looking for? The intent of Scrum is to help you deliver value through adaptive solutions in a way that will help you achieve your goals, that will optimize predictability and control risk. Before you go into adopting Scrum or bashing Scrum, please pause. Look at your organizational context, the business outcomes you are trying to achieve. And if these are not the outcomes that you are trying to achieve, then stop using Scrum. Stop bashing Scrum because it's irrelevant. Let's talk about the second level of compatibility. This is cultural compatibility. So, Scrum is based on certain principles and values. The principles are empiricism, that the best decisions that can be made in a complex domain are based on observing what's happening in front of us, based on our lived experience. Another Scrum principle is lean thinking. Let's just focus on the essentials. Let's get rid of anything that is wasteful. Another implied principle is self-management. Create small cross-functional teams of people who have the skills they need to get the job done, who have the desire, the motivation, and the intent, who can be trusted, and then get the heck out of the way. Let them decide who does what, when, and how. And in terms of values, create a culture where people can be courageous, focused, open, respectful, and committed. Before you try to adopt Scrum or bash Scrum, ask yourself, is there cultural compatibility between the principles and values of Scrum and the principles and values of your company? If yes, proceed further into an exploration of Scrum. If no, stop using Scrum. Don't waste your time bashing Scrum. It's not going to help you, your customers, users, investors, or your company. Let's talk about the third level of compatibility. It's intellectual compatibility. Assuming that there is outcome compatibility between your company's context and Scrum, the intent of Scrum, assuming there is cultural compatibility between the culture of your company and the principles and values of Scrum. Now, look at the three accountabilities of Scrum, the 5 events of Scrum, the 3 artifacts and their contexts, and then ask yourself, intellectually, does all of this hang together? Does it make sense? Do each of the 3-5-3 help us apply the principles and values of Scrum to achieve the outcomes of Scrum? If it all hangs together and intellectually it makes sense, fantastic. Continue your exploration of Scrum. If not, stop using Scrum, stop bashing Scrum, not going to help you, move on, nothing to see here. And the last level of compatibility, I would say, is operational compatibility. Scrum is very lightweight, it's descriptive, it has a few rules, a few non-negotiables, but those non-negotiables must be honored. So the operational implications of the 3-5-3, for instance, is if you have a product owner, the whole organization has to respect the accountability of the product owner. If you have a definition of done, then you can't compromise on the DoD. If you have an organizational DoD, every team has to honor the DoD. So there are some operational implications of using Scrum. And if the operational context of your company is incompatible with the operational context of Scrum, don't use Scrum. Move on. Don't waste time bashing Scrum. Now, take a step back. If you have discovered, as a result of applying the ideas in my talk, that you have outcome compatibility with Scrum, you have cultural compatibility, intellectual compatibility, and operational compatibility. Then move on and continue your exploration of Scrum. The last hat that I would invite you to wear is probably the most important hat, which is the hat of curiosity. Have a beginner's mind and be curious if there's a part of Scrum that doesn't make sense to you. Look at it through these three lenses, starting with business outcomes, principles and values, and the definitions of rules. And try and explore with a beginner's mind how might this element of Scrum help us achieve goals, deliver value through adaptive solutions, optimize predictability, and control risk. I hope you found this useful, a fresh way to look at Scrum with curiosity and a beginner's mind. I should probably turn it like this because this is supposed to be Curious George. I hope you appreciate me making a complete ass of myself in the interest of helping you look at Scrum with a new perspective. Last but not the least, avoid the mistake that I have made in the beginning stages of my career as a Scrum evangelist. Avoid the hat of the Scrum police who is beating up clients and users and students anytime they do anything that is misaligned with the Scrum guide. Don't make people feel wrong because they're doing something that is different from what was in the Scrum guide. Instead, have the perspective of curiosity and help them understand how a certain element of Scrum might help their company achieve the business outcomes in a way that honors the principles and values and is consistent with the rules of Scrum. Hope you found this useful. Until our next conversation, thank you. Keep calm and Scrum on.